Imagine you are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying a conversation you had earlier in the day. You wonder if you said the wrong thing, if they misunderstood you, or if they even care at all. Your mind keeps spinning, going over every little detail, searching for answers that may never come. No matter how much you think, the situation remains the same. The more you try to figure it out, the more restless you become. Why do we think so much about certain people? Why do their words, actions, or even silence have such a strong hold on us? Is it because we care too much, or is it because we are afraid of losing something? How many times have you lost sleep over someone who probably wasn't even thinking about you? Let's take a simple example. Imagine you send a message to someone, and they don't reply for hours. Your mind immediately jumps to conclusions. Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Are they upset with me? But later, when they finally respond, you realize they were just busy. All that overthinking, all that stress for nothing. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we bring you deep insights from Buddhism to help you free your mind and live with peace. If you are tired of overthinking and want to break free from the thoughts that drain your energy, this video is for you. But before we continue, we need your support. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribed. So please, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to thoughts, people, and situations is what creates suffering. The more we hold on, the harder it is to be happy. We think too much about others because we believe they have power over our emotions. But the truth is, our happiness is in our own hands. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is impermanence. Everything changes. People change. Situations change. Even our thoughts and emotions change. But when we attach ourselves to someone in our mind, we resist this natural flow of life. We cling to memories, expectations, and the desire for things to go a certain way. And when reality doesn't match our expectations, we suffer. The mind is like a river. Thoughts come and go, just like water flowing downstream. But when we focus too much on a single thought, especially about someone else, it's like trying to stop the river with our bare hands. We exhaust ourselves, but nothing really changes. The Buddha taught that overthinking is a trap. The more we analyze, worry, or obsess, the more tangled our mind becomes. Instead of finding clarity, we create confusion. Instead of peace, we create anxiety. So, how do we break free? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to when your mind starts obsessing over someone. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it making me suffer? Once you recognize that a thought is causing distress, you can choose to let it go. Another powerful practice is mindfulness. When you catch yourself overthinking, bring your attention back to the present moment. Focus on your breath, the sounds around you, or the sensation of your body. This simple shift can pull you out of your thoughts and ground you in reality. Buddhist monks practice detachment, not because they don't care about others, but because they understand that attachment leads to suffering. They learn to love without clinging, to care without obsessing. This is the path to true inner peace. When you stop thinking too much about someone, you reclaim your energy. You stop giving away your peace to people who may not even be thinking about you. Instead, you focus on yourself, your happiness, and your journey. This is just the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore why we get attached in the first place and how our minds create unnecessary suffering. Stay with us, and let's uncover the wisdom that can free you from overthinking. The root of overthinking, why we get attached. You sit alone, lost in thought. A name, a face, a memory, it keeps coming back. No matter how much you try to push it away, it returns, like a wave that refuses to retreat. You tell yourself, I need to stop thinking about this. But the more you resist, the stronger it grows. Why does this happen? Why do certain people, certain moments, hold so much power over our minds? Why is it so hard to let go? Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. But what does that mean? It means that when we hold on too tightly, whether to people, to ideas, or to the past, we create a cage for ourselves. The mind becomes restless, tangled in endless thoughts, unable to find peace. Think about a time when someone's words hurt you. Maybe they ignored your message, maybe they didn't appreciate something you did, or maybe they simply walked away from your life. The pain didn't just come from their actions, it came from your attachment to how things should have been. You wanted a different response, a different outcome. You wanted control. And when reality did not match your expectations, your mind began its cycle, replaying moments, analyzing words, searching for meaning where there was none. That is attachment. It is the invisible thread that ties us to things beyond our control, pulling us back again and again, refusing to let us rest. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you grip it tightly, trying to keep it all, it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, with an open palm, it stays. Attachment is the tight grip, the desperate attempt to hold on. And just like the sand, the more we cling, the more we lose. Overthinking about someone is a form of attachment. We believe that by thinking more, we will find answers. We believe that if we analyze every detail, we can change something, fix something, understand something. But in truth, thinking too much is like walking in circles. It keeps us moving, but we never arrive anywhere. The Buddha compared the mind to a monkey, constantly jumping from one branch to another, restless, never still. One moment, you're thinking about a conversation you had. The next, you're imagining what they might be doing now. Then, you're creating scenarios that haven't even happened. The mind never stops. It keeps running, running, running. But why? Why does the mind do this? Because it is afraid. Attachment is not just about love or care. It is about fear, the fear of losing something, the fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough. When we think too much about someone, we are not just remembering them. We are afraid that without them, we are incomplete. Afraid that if we don't keep thinking, we will lose something important. But here is the truth. Nothing real is lost through letting go. Let's say you have a beautiful flower in your hand. You admire its colors, its softness, its fragrance. You hold it close because you love it. But if you press too hard, the petals will break. If you try to keep it forever, it will wither. That is how life works. That is how people work. They come into our lives, they share moments with us, and sometimes they leave. But love, connection, memories, these things are never lost. They remain, not in our desperate grip, but in the space we create for them. The problem is, we don't trust this. We don't believe that things can exist without our control. So we think, and we think, and we think. But thinking does not change reality. It only steals our peace. Imagine you are sitting by a lake, and the water is calm, still, like a mirror. Then, a stone falls in. The water ripples, disturbed, unsettled. This is your mind when a thought enters. You react. You try to make sense of it. You try to fight it. But if you just watch, if you simply let the ripples settle on their own, the water becomes clear again. The mind works the same way. When a thought about someone comes, don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just watch it. Let it come, and let it go. This is the practice of non-attachment. Not pushing things away, not running from them, but simply letting them be. Thoughts, emotions, people, they all come and go, like clouds in the sky. You don't have to hold on to them. A Buddhist monk was once asked, "How do you stop thinking about someone?" He smiled and said, "You don't. You simply stop believing that every thought is important. Not every thought deserves your energy. Not every person deserves your attention. And not every memory needs to be relived. When you overthink, ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Are you afraid of losing someone? Or are you afraid of facing yourself without them? Are you afraid of what they think of you? Or are you afraid of what you think of yourself? The answers are not out there. They're within you. The only way to free your mind is to realize that you are the one holding the chains. So, next time you catch yourself thinking too much about someone, pause. Take a deep breath. And remind yourself, I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my fears. I am free. And in that moment, even if just for a second, you will feel the weight lift. You will taste the peace that is already inside you. And slowly, step by step, you will learn the greatest lesson Buddhism has to offer. Freedom is not found in holding on. It is found in letting go. This journey is not over. In the next part, we will explore something even deeper, why impermanence is the key to true freedom, and how accepting change can free us from the prison of overthinking. Stay with us. Your mind is learning to be free. Impermanence, the truth that frees you. Sit with me for a moment. Breathe in. Feel the air fill your lungs. Breathe out. Feel it leave. That breath is gone now, never to return. This is impermanence. Everything that arises must also pass. Every sound, every moment, every thought, every person, nothing stays the same. Yet, we live as if things are permanent. We hold on to people, memories, and emotions as if they will last forever. We believe relationships will remain unchanged, that the people we love will always be there, that the way we feel today will be the way we feel tomorrow. But deep inside, we know this is not true. Nothing in this world is permanent. Think about the seasons. No matter how much the warmth of summer comforts you, autumn will arrive. No matter how much you love the blossoms of spring, winter will come. Can you stop it? Can you hold on to the sun and refuse the night? Then why do we hold on to people as if they are not part of the same cycle? Why do we attach ourselves to moments, hoping they will last forever? Perhaps you have loved someone deeply, and now they are distant. Perhaps you shared beautiful moments with a person who is no longer in your life. Maybe they changed, maybe you changed, or maybe life simply pulled you apart. Whatever the reason, the pain of losing someone, even just in your mind, is sharp. But is it the person you miss, or the version of them that once existed? Think back to the first time you met them. Were they the same person they are now? Were you the same? No. Every day, you both changed, in ways big and small. And yet, you expected things to stay the same. This is why we suffer. Impermanence is not a curse. It is not something to fear. It is the very thing that makes life precious. If everything lasted forever, would we cherish it the same way? Imagine if the sky was always blue, if the sun never set, if every day was exactly the same. Would you appreciate it? Or would it become meaningless? You have seen this in your own life. There was a time when you were a child, running barefoot with laughter in your heart. That version of you is gone. There was a time when you worried about things that no longer matter today. That worry is gone. There were people you once thought you could not live without. Yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still moving forward. Letting go is not about forgetting or pretending you do not care. It is about understanding that holding on to something that is meant to change is like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how tightly you grip, it will slip through your fingers. Maybe right now, there is someone in your mind, someone you cannot stop thinking about. Maybe you replay their words, their actions, their silence. Maybe you are waiting for them to return, for things to go back to the way they were. But can a river flow backward? Can a flame burn forever without fuel? The more you resist impermanence, the more you suffer. You are not suffering because they left. You are suffering because you expected them to stay. You are not in pain because things changed. You are in pain because you believe they wouldn't. This moment, right now, will never happen again. The sound of my voice, the thoughts in your mind, the feelings in your heart, by the time you finish this sentence, they will have already changed. And that is okay. That is life. The Buddha taught that everything in existence is like a wave. It rises, it peaks, and it falls. No wave lasts forever, and no moment does either. Your thoughts about someone, no matter how strong, will pass. The pain of missing them will pass. The confusion, the frustration, the sadness, it will all pass. But only if you allow it to. Have you ever tried to fight a wave in the ocean? The more you struggle, the more it pulls you under. But if you relax, if you let yourself float, the water carries you peacefully. Impermanence is not your enemy. It is your freedom. It is the very thing that allows you to heal, to grow, to love again, to find peace. A person may walk into your life, and a person may leave. A moment may bring you joy, and a moment may bring you sadness. But neither will stay forever. This is not a tragedy. This is balance. Instead of fearing impermanence, embrace it. Instead of clinging to what was, flow with what is. Do not ask, why did this change? Instead, ask, what is this change teaching me? If someone you love has become distant, it is teaching you to love without attachment. If a moment of happiness has passed, it is teaching you to find joy in the present. If life has not gone the way you planned, it is teaching you to let go of control. You are like the sky. The clouds come and go, but the sky remains. People, emotions, and experiences are like the clouds, passing, shifting, changing. Do not cling to the clouds. Be the sky. There is a simple practice you can do. The next time you feel yourself holding on too tightly, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Say to yourself, this moment will pass. This feeling will pass. This thought will pass. And then, let it go. Nothing is truly lost. It has simply transformed into something new. A leaf falls, but it becomes the soil. A wave crashes, but it returns to the ocean. A person leaves, but their presence, their lessons, their energy, becomes part of who you are. You do not have to force yourself to forget. You do not have to pretend you do not care. You only have to understand that nothing was ever truly yours to begin with. Let go. Not because you do not love, but because love itself is fluid. Let go. Not because you do not care, but because caring is not the same as clinging. Let go. Not because it is easy, but because holding on to something that is meant to change will only bring suffering. Take another breath. Feel it enter. Feel it leave. That breath is gone now, but another will come. This is the rhythm of life. Trust it. Flow with it. Be at peace with it. The illusion of control, why you can't force outcomes. Sit down for a moment. Take a deep breath. Let go of everything you are holding on to in your mind. Now, ask yourself, How much control do you really have over life? Over people? Over their thoughts, feelings, and actions? The truth is, we spend so much time trying to control things that are beyond us. We try to control how others see us, how they respond to us, how they treat us. We want things to go a certain way. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want relationships to last, conversations to go smoothly, and life to unfold the way we imagine. And when it doesn't, we suffer. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to control is one of the greatest sources of pain. We think that if we try harder, think more, or do everything perfectly, we can make things turn out the way we want. But life does not work like that. The more we try to control, the more we resist the natural flow of life. Imagine you are holding a handful of sand. If you keep your palm open, the sand stays there, resting gently in your hand. But the moment you squeeze too tightly, trying to hold on to it, the sand slips through your fingers. The more force you use, the more you lose. This is exactly how life works. When you try to control everything, you end up losing what you are trying to hold on to. Think about how much time you have spent worrying about someone's reaction. Maybe you sent a message and kept checking your phone, waiting for a reply. Maybe you replayed a conversation in your head, wondering if you should have said something different. Maybe you tried to make someone stay in your life, even when they wanted to leave. But in the end, no matter how much effort you put in, the outcome was never in your hands. The Buddha once said, "You can only lose what you cling to." This means that suffering comes not from what happens, but from our resistance to what happens. If someone leaves, we feel pain because we wanted them to stay. If things don't go our way, we feel frustration because we expected a different result. If someone ignores us, we feel hurt because we wanted their attention. But ask yourself, why do we need so much control? Why do we struggle to accept things as they are? It is because we are afraid. We believe that if we do not control, we will lose. We will lose people, opportunities, respect, or love. We think that if we do not hold on tightly, everything will fall apart. But in reality, it is our own mind that is making us suffer. Look at nature. The river does not control where it flows. The wind does not decide where it will go. The trees do not cling to their leaves when autumn arrives. Everything moves naturally, effortlessly. It is only humans who try to hold on, to resist, to fight against what is. And that is why we suffer. A wise monk once told a student, "If you want to be free, let go." The student asked, "Let go of what?" The monk simply replied, "Everything." Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become cold or distant. It simply means you stop trying to force things. You stop believing that your happiness depends on controlling what is outside of you. Instead, you turn inward. You find peace within yourself. Imagine how much lighter your mind would feel if you stopped overthinking things you cannot change. If you stopped worrying about what others think. If you stopped expecting people to be a certain way. If you simply accepted life as it is, without resistance. This is freedom. But letting go is not easy. The mind will fight back. It will tell you that you need control. That you must think, plan, worry. That if you don't, things will go wrong. This is an illusion. The world does not need your overthinking to function. Life will unfold as it is meant to, whether you stress over it or not. So what can you do? First, observe your mind. Notice when you are trying to control something. Ask yourself, is this in my hands, or is it beyond me? If it is beyond you, let it go. Do not waste your energy fighting a battle that was never yours to fight. Second, practice trust. Trust that whatever happens is part of your journey. Even if things do not go your way, they are leading you somewhere. Every loss, every rejection, every disappointment is teaching you something. Trust the process. Third, be present. When you focus on the present moment, you stop worrying about the future. You stop trying to predict or manipulate outcomes. You simply live. You breathe. You experience life as it is. A man once asked the Buddha, "How can I find peace?" The Buddha replied, "Release your attachments." The man asked, "But what if I cannot let go?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Then you will continue to suffer. In the end, it is your choice. You can continue to overthink, to cling, to struggle, or you can choose to let go, to accept, to be free. The people who are meant to stay in your life will stay. The things that are meant for you will come, and what is not meant for you will leave, no matter how much you try to hold on." So, take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Release the tension in your mind. You do not need to carry the weight of control anymore. You are free to let go. Desires and expectations, the silent cause of suffering. Sit down for a moment. Take a deep breath. Look around you. Everything you see, everything you feel, is shaped by your desires and expectations. Whether you realize it or not, your mind is always wanting something. People to behave a certain way, situations to unfold as you wish, life to go according to your plans. But when things don't go as expected, what happens? You suffer. Desire is natural. It's a part of being human. You desire love, success, respect, happiness. You expect people to treat you well, to care for you the way you care for them. You expect life to reward your efforts, for things to fall into place when you work hard. But life does not follow your script. People do not always behave the way you want them to. Circumstances change, often without warning. And the more tightly you hold on to your expectations, the more painful it is when reality does not match them. Think about it. How many times have you been hurt, not because of what actually happened, but because of what you expected to happen? You text someone, and they don't reply as quickly as you hoped. Your mind races. Are they ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? But in reality, they may just be busy. Still, your expectation of an immediate response creates unnecessary suffering. You do something kind for someone, expecting appreciation in return, but they don't respond the way you imagined. Maybe they forget to say thank you. Maybe they don't even notice. And suddenly, you feel disappointed. But was it their actions that hurt you? Or was it your expectation of how they should respond? Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from attachment, especially attachment to desires and expectations. You think, if I get this job, I'll be happy. But what if you don't? You think, if this person loves me back, I will feel complete. But what if they don't? You expect respect, understanding, fairness, but the world does not always give you what you want. The pain is not in the situation itself. The pain is in the gap between what you expected and what actually happened. A river does not resist the rocks in its path. It flows around them, but the human mind resists. It wants things to be a certain way. It clings to ideas of how life should be. This is where suffering begins. Imagine you are walking down a road, and you see a beautiful flower. You admire it, but then you start wanting it. You reach out to pluck it. In that moment, your mind shifts from appreciation to desire. You are no longer content just seeing it. You want to possess it. And if you can't have it, you feel disappointed. The flower was beautiful before, but now, because you can't have it, it brings suffering. The same thing happens in life. You meet someone, and they make you feel special. You enjoy their presence. But then, your mind starts creating expectations. I hope they always treat me this way. I hope they never change. And when they do change, as all things do, you feel pain. Not because they changed, but because you expected them to stay the same. The Buddha taught that life is impermanent. Everything changes, people, situations, even your own thoughts and emotions. But desire and expectation trick you into believing that things should stay as you want them to be. This is the cause of suffering. So what is the way out? Should you stop wanting things? Should you stop caring? No. The path is not about rejecting desire, but about understanding it. It is about being aware of your expectations and learning to let go. Imagine holding sand in your hand. If you grip it too tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. Life is the same. If you cling too tightly to people, they will feel trapped. If you demand too much from situations, they will disappoint you. But if you hold everything lightly, if you appreciate without clinging, you will find peace. Think about the people in your life. Have you ever felt hurt because someone didn't act the way you wanted? Did they really hurt you? Or did your expectation of them cause your pain? Imagine if you could release that expectation, if you could accept them as they are, without needing them to be a certain way. How much lighter would your heart feel? Desires and expectations also create fear. When you want something too badly, you become afraid of losing it. You fear rejection, failure, disappointment. And that fear controls you. It makes you anxious, restless, always worrying about the future. But when you let go of rigid expectations, you also let go of fear. Look at the sky. The clouds come and go, but the sky remains. Your thoughts, emotions, desires, they are like the clouds. They pass through your mind, but they are not you. The real you is the sky, vast, open, unshaken. When you realize this, you stop getting caught in every passing thought, every unfulfilled desire. You learn to watch them, but not be controlled by them. Does this mean you should never dream, never hope, never strive for anything? No. The difference is this. When you act without attachment to the outcome, you are free. You give your best effort, but you do not suffer if things don't go as planned. You love deeply, but you do not break when things change. You appreciate, but you do not cling. Buddhist monks practice this every day. They wake up with no expectation of what the day will bring. They accept whatever comes, with an open heart. This does not mean they do not feel emotions. They do, but they do not let their desires control them. They walk with peace because they have learned the secret. Happiness is not in getting everything you want. Happiness is in letting go of the need for everything to be exactly as you want it. So, ask yourself, what expectations are making you suffer? What desires are keeping you restless? Can you let them go, even just a little? Can you hold life gently, without gripping too tightly? When you stop expecting people to act a certain way, you free them. When you stop demanding that life unfold exactly as you wish, you free yourself. And in that freedom, you find peace. The next time you feel disappointed, pause. Ask yourself, was I hurt by the situation or by my expectation of how it should be? If you can see the difference, you are already on the path to freedom. This journey is not about giving up on life. It is about living more fully, without being trapped by desires and expectations. It is about flowing with life, like a river, instead of fighting against it. When you master this, no one and nothing will have power over your peace. Mindfulness, the art of observing without attachment. Sit down for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air enter your lungs, and then slowly release it. Right now, in this moment, there is no past, no future, only the present. But where is your mind? Is it truly here, or is it wandering? Are you thinking about someone? Something they said? Something they didn't say? The mind is restless. It runs in circles, chasing thoughts like a dog chasing its own tail. We think about people, conversations, and situations over and over again. We analyze their words, their expressions, their silence. We assume, we create stories, and we convince ourselves that these thoughts are real. But are they? Or are they just illusions created by the mind? Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a sky, and thoughts are like clouds. Some clouds are light and pass by quickly. Others are dark and heavy, lingering for days. But no matter how big the clouds are, the sky remains untouched. The sky is never the clouds. And in the same way, you are not your thoughts. You are simply the observer of them. But what happens when we forget this? We get caught in the storm. A single thought about someone can turn into a flood of emotions. Worry, anger, sadness, jealousy. We relive old conversations, regret our words, and imagine different outcomes. We waste hours, even days, stuck in the past or fearing the future. Let me tell you a story. There were two monks walking through a forest. They came across a river where a young woman stood, unable to cross. One monk, without hesitation, lifted her up and carried her across. He set her down on the other side, and both monks continued on their way. Hours later, the second monk spoke, his face full of frustration. "How could you carry that woman?" he asked. "We are monks. We are not supposed to touch women." The first monk smiled and replied, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is what the mind does. It holds on to things long after they are gone. It clings to memories, attachments, and fears. But mindfulness teaches us a different way, to observe without holding on. Mindfulness means being fully present. It means seeing thoughts as they arise, without judgment, without clinging. When a thought about someone appears, instead of following it, you simply notice it. There's a thought. And then, you let it go. But how do we do this? How do we stop ourselves from getting lost in thoughts? The answer is simple. We return to the present. Right now, feel your breath. The rise and fall of your chest. The sensation of air passing through your nose. This is real. This is happening now. The mind, however, will try to pull you away. It will remind you of a conversation from yesterday. It will make you worry about tomorrow. But whenever this happens, gently bring yourself back. Come back to your breath. Come back to now. Another way to practice mindfulness is through watching emotions without reacting. When you feel anxious or restless about someone, don't try to suppress it. Instead, observe. I feel anxious. I feel attached. But don't identify with the feeling. You are not anxiety. You are simply experiencing it. And just like everything else, it will pass. Imagine a clear pond. If you throw a stone into it, ripples will form. If you keep throwing stones, the water will never be still. But if you simply watch, the ripples will settle on their own. The mind is the same. The more you react, the more ripples you create. But when you just watch, without feeding the thoughts, the mind naturally becomes calm. Overthinking about someone is like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. At first, you don't notice the weight. But over time, it drains you. It makes you tired, restless, and unhappy. The irony is, you are the one holding the bag. No one is forcing you to carry it. And at any moment, you can choose to put it down. When we let go of attachment, we don't lose love, we find real peace. Love does not mean clinging. It does not mean overthinking. True love is like the sun. It shines freely. It gives warmth without expecting anything in return. But when we attach, love turns into fear. We fear losing people. We fear being forgotten. We fear being unimportant. But the truth is, you are already whole. You do not need someone else's presence to complete you. Mindfulness reminds us that everything we seek is already within. Peace is not found in controlling others, fixing the past, or predicting the future. Peace is found in this moment, right here, right now. So, whenever your mind starts wandering, whenever you catch yourself thinking too much about someone, pause, breathe, observe, let go. The sky never holds onto the clouds. You don't have to hold on to every thought. Detachment versus indifference, the true meaning of letting go. You sit in silence, staring at the phone, waiting for a message that may never come. Your mind drifts back to the past, to memories of laughter, warmth, and connection. Then a sudden thought hits you. Do they even care about me? Your heart feels heavy. You want to let go, but a part of you is afraid. If I stop caring, does that mean I'm being cold? Does detachment mean I must become indifferent? No, my dear one. Detachment is not indifference. It is freedom. There is a great misunderstanding in the world. Many believe that to detach means to stop feeling, to stop loving, to stop caring. But that is not the way of wisdom. Detachment is not a cold, empty space. It is the warmth of a heart that has learned to love without chains, to care without suffering. Imagine you are holding a butterfly in your hands. You love its beauty, its delicate wings, the way it dances in the air. But if you grip it too tightly, what happens? You crush it. The very thing you love is destroyed by your need to hold on. But if you open your hands, the butterfly remains free. It may stay. It may fly away. Either way, you smile, because your love was never about possession. It was about appreciation. This is detachment, to love with open hands. Indifference, on the other hand, is the absence of care. It is the act of turning away, of refusing to feel. A person who is indifferent does not love, does not suffer, does not connect. They build walls around their heart, afraid of pain, but also unable to experience joy. They do not hold the butterfly too tightly, but they also do not reach out to touch it at all. They walk through life untouched, but also untouched by life. So, my dear one, do not mistake detachment for indifference. Detachment is not about shutting down your heart. It is about allowing your heart to breathe. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. But he never said that love is suffering. Love is beautiful. Love is the fragrance of life. But attachment is when love turns into fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of change. When we attach, we place chains around our love. We make it a prison instead of a gift. Perhaps you have loved someone deeply. Perhaps you still do. And perhaps this love brings you pain, because you expect something in return. You want them to feel the same way. You want them to act in a certain way. You want them to stay, to never change, to never leave. But my dear one, this is not love. This is a transaction. And love is not a business. True love is free. True love does not demand. True love does not bind. True love allows others to be who they are, just as the river allows the water to flow. When you love with attachment, you suffer. But when you love with detachment, you experience a peace that nothing can shake. Do you see the difference now? A mother loves her child, but she knows that one day, the child must walk on their own. A tree offers shade, but it does not beg anyone to sit beneath it. The sun shines on all, but it does not ask for gratitude. This is the way of nature. This is the way of detachment. So how do we practice this wisdom? How do we love without attachment? First, We must understand that nothing in this world belongs to us. Not people, not moments, not even our own thoughts. Everything is like a flowing river. We can step into its waters, we can enjoy its coolness, but we cannot stop it from moving. Second, we must learn to observe, not cling. When you feel yourself growing attached to someone, pause. Ask yourself, am I loving, or am I trying to control? Am I appreciating, or am I demanding? If your love comes with expectations, gently remind yourself that true love asks for nothing in return. Third, we must let go of the illusion of permanence. Nothing stays the same forever. People change. Situations change. Even love changes. And that is okay. Just as the seasons shift, just as the moon waxes and wanes, life moves in cycles. To resist this truth is to invite suffering. But to accept it is to find peace. Think about the sky. It holds the sun, the clouds, the stars. But it does not hold on to any of them. The clouds come and go. The sun rises and sets. The stars shine and disappear with the dawn. The sky remains open, vast, free. Be like the sky. Love like the sky. Hold nothing, yet embrace everything. Many people ask, if I practice detachment, won't I lose my relationships? Won't people think I don't care? No, my dear one. In fact, the opposite happens. When you detach, you actually become a better friend, a better lover, a better companion. Because now, you are not loving from a place of fear. You are not clinging, not suffocating, not demanding. You are simply present. And this kind of presence is rare. This kind of love is pure. Have you ever been around someone who makes you feel at ease? Someone who does not try to control you, does not place expectations on you, does not make you feel guilty? That is a person who has mastered detachment. They love, but they do not bind. They care, but they do not force. And because of this, their presence feels like home. So, my dear one, if you truly want to be at peace, if you truly want to love without pain, learn this art. Love without chains. Care without fear. Give without expecting. Let people come and go as they please, just as the ocean allows the waves to rise and fall. This is not indifference. This is the highest form of love. And when you master this, you will no longer lie awake, wondering why someone hasn't called, why they don't care, why they left. You will no longer exhaust yourself trying to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. You will simply be. And in that being, you will find a joy that no one can take away from you. Now, take a deep breath. Let go of whatever is weighing on your heart. Feel the lightness. Feel the peace. And walk forward, free. The role of karma. Understanding energy and consequences. Sit down, take a deep breath, and let go of all the noise in your mind. You are here, in this moment, and nothing else matters right now. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see the world. Everything you think, everything you say, and everything you do, these are not just passing moments. They are energy. They do not disappear. They leave a mark, like footprints in the sand. This is what we call karma. Karma is not about punishment or reward. It is not about some higher force keeping score of your actions. No, karma is much simpler than that. It is cause and effect. Just like a seed grows into a tree, your actions create the life you experience. If you plant a mango seed, you will not get an apple tree. If you plant kindness, you will not get suffering. And if you plant harm, you will not receive peace. Now, you may wonder, what does karma have to do with thinking too much about someone? Why do certain people stay in our minds, even when we don't want them to? Why do their words or actions replay over and over, like an endless echo? The answer is karma. Not just in a mystical sense, but in a practical, everyday way. When we give someone too much energy, we create a bond with them. This bond is not always visible, but it exists. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to linger in your thoughts, while others pass by without a second thought? This is because of the energy you have exchanged with them. The more time, emotions, and thoughts you invest in someone, the stronger the karmic thread between you. If you have ever been hurt by someone, you know how hard it is to stop thinking about them. You replay the moment, you ask yourself why it happened, and you keep searching for answers. But the more you do this, the deeper the wound becomes. You are feeding the karma, keeping it alive, instead of letting it dissolve. Think of it like fire. If you stop adding wood, the fire dies on its own. But if you keep adding more, it will burn brighter and longer. Your thoughts are the wood. Your emotions are the fuel. And the more you give, the longer the fire lasts. So what can you do? How do you break free from this endless loop? First, understand that karma is not a prison. It is a teacher. It shows you where your attachments lie. It shows you where you are still holding on. If someone's presence in your mind is causing you suffering, it means there is something to learn. Maybe you need to forgive. Maybe you need to let go of expectations. Maybe you need to accept that not everything has a clear answer. The second thing you can do is stop feeding the fire. When a thought about someone arises, do not fight it. Do not resist it. Simply observe it, like watching a cloud drift across the sky. Do not grab it. Do not chase it. Just let it pass. If you do this consistently, the thoughts will lose their power. They will become like waves that rise and fall, but never stay. Another thing to understand is that karma is not just about the past. It is about the present. Every thought you have, every emotion you hold, is shaping your future. If you want peace, plant peace in your mind. If you want freedom, stop clinging to what hurts you. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to control something, the harder it becomes? The more you chase happiness, the more it runs away. The more you try to make someone care about you, the less they do. This is also karma. Clinging creates suffering. Letting go creates peace. Some people believe that karma means you must suffer for past mistakes. This is not true. Karma is not punishment. It is understanding. If you touch fire and get burned, the fire is not punishing you. It is simply showing you the nature of fire. If you continue to hold on to painful thoughts, karma is not making you suffer. It is simply showing you the nature of attachment. The moment you understand this, you are free. Let me tell you a story. Once, a Zen master was walking with his disciple when they came across a woman who was struggling to cross a river. Without hesitation, the master lifted her onto his back and carried her across. After setting her down, he continued walking in silence. Hours later, the disciple finally spoke. "Master," he said, "why did you carry that woman? We are monks. We are not supposed to touch women." The master smiled and said, "I put her down at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her?" This is how most people live. They carry the weight of people and moments long after they have passed. They hold on to pain, anger, regret, and disappointment. But what they do not realize is that this burden is self-imposed. If someone has hurt you, let it go. If someone has left you, let them go. If you keep carrying them in your mind, you are only hurting yourself. You are keeping the karma alive. Does this mean you should not care about people? No. It means you should care with wisdom. Love without attachment. Give without expectation. Let people be who they are, and let yourself be free. Think about the sky. The sky does not hold on to clouds. It lets them come and go. The sky is vast, open, and free. This is how your mind should be. Let thoughts come. Let thoughts go. Do not hold them. Do not chase them. Just be. The Buddha once said, "You are what you think." If your thoughts are full of pain, you will experience pain. If your thoughts are full of peace, you will experience peace. So choose wisely. Choose freedom over attachment. Choose peace over overthinking. You do not have to be trapped by the past. You do not have to be a prisoner of your own thoughts. The door is open. You just have to walk through it. In the next part, we will go deeper into how to cultivate inner peace and free yourself from overthinking once and for all. Stay present. Stay aware. Stay free. How to cultivate inner peace. Practical Buddhist techniques. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen, not to the noise around you, but to the silence beneath it. Can you hear it? The stillness within? It has always been there, but your thoughts, your worries, your endless overthinking have drowned it out. Inner peace is not something you need to chase. It is already within you. You just need to uncover it. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a lake. When the water is still, it reflects everything clearly, the trees, the sky, the clouds. But when the water is disturbed by wind, ripples form, and the reflection becomes unclear. This is what happens to our minds when we overthink. Thoughts become like waves, disturbing the natural stillness within us. But what if you could calm the waves? What if you could return to that still, clear state? One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to cultivate inner peace is through breathing. Your breath is always with you. It is the bridge between your body and mind. When you are lost in thoughts, your breath becomes shallow. When you are at peace, your breath is deep and steady. Right now, take a slow breath in and let it out. Feel the difference. Feel how just one mindful breath can bring you back to yourself. Have you ever noticed how much noise your mind creates? You replay conversations, Analyze every word. Worry about things that may never happen. The more you think, the heavier you feel. But here's something to remember. Thoughts are not facts. Just because your mind tells you something does not make it true. If your thoughts make you restless, ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting, let it go. Silence is another path to inner peace. We live in a world full of distractions. Noise from outside, noise from within, but peace is found in silence. Not just the silence of sound, but the silence of mind. You don't have to go to a monastery to experience this. Just take a moment each day to sit quietly. No phone, no conversation, just you in the present moment. At first, your mind will resist. It will want to fill the silence with thoughts. But if you stay with it, something beautiful happens. The mind settles. Peace arises. Overthinking often comes from attachment. We hold on to thoughts, people, memories. But Buddhism teaches that everything is temporary. Everything comes and goes, just like the clouds in the sky. If a thought causes you pain, imagine it as a leaf floating down a river. Watch it drift away. Don't grab it. Don't hold on. Just let it pass. Gratitude is another key to peace. The mind tends to focus on what's missing, on what's wrong. But when you shift your focus to what is already here, peace follows. Right now, think of 3 things you are grateful for. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the simple fact that you are alive. Gratitude brings you back to the present. And the present moment is where peace lives. Acceptance is also important. Much of our suffering comes from resisting reality. We wish things were different. We want people to act a certain way. But the more we resist, the more we suffer. Imagine holding a rope that is being pulled from both ends. The harder you grip, the more it burns your hands. But the moment you let go, the pain stops. Peace comes from acceptance, from surrendering to the flow of life. A Zen story tells of a man who was running from a tiger. He reached the edge of a cliff and saw a vine hanging down. Grabbing it, he climbed down, but below him was another tiger. Trapped, he noticed a single ripe strawberry growing on the side of the cliff. He plucked it and ate it. It was the sweetest strawberry he had ever tasted. This is life. There will always be worries, always things beyond your control. But you can either let fear consume you or enjoy the sweetness of the present moment. Peace is not found in the future. It is not found in the past. It is only ever found here, in this moment. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, pause. Take a deep breath. Return to the now. You are not your thoughts. You are the space beneath them, the stillness that has always been there. The path to inner peace is not about escaping life. It is about learning how to live it fully, without being trapped in the endless cycle of worry and regret. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Step by step, breath by breath, you return to yourself. You return to peace. The middle path, balancing connection and detachment. Let me tell you a simple truth. Life is not about extremes. It is neither about clinging too much nor about pushing everything away. It is about balance. The middle path, as the Buddha taught, is the way to true peace. But how do we apply this to our relationships? How do we care for people without losing ourselves in them? Many people think detachment means coldness, that to stop overthinking about someone means to stop caring. But that is not true. Detachment is not the absence of love. It is the presence of wisdom. It means to love with an open heart, but not be consumed by thoughts of another. It means to be present with people without attaching your entire happiness to them. Imagine holding a butterfly in your hand. If you hold too tightly, you crush it. If you hold too loosely, it flies away. True connection is like that. If you cling to someone with fear and obsession, you lose yourself. If you push them away completely, you lose the beauty of human connection. The key is to hold with gentleness, to care without attachment. Think about the people who have come and gone in your life. Some stayed for years, some for a few moments. Some brought joy, some brought pain. But every single one of them was a lesson. And yet, we continue to hold on to memories, to replay conversations, to wish things had happened differently. Why? Because we believe attachment is love. But love and attachment are not the same. Love is free, attachment is heavy. You might say, but if I don't think about them, doesn't that mean I don't care? No, you can care deeply about someone and still not let them take over your mind. In fact, the less you obsess, the more real your connection becomes. When you stop overthinking, you can finally see people for who they are, not who you imagine them to be. Overthinking about someone usually comes from fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. The mind clings to thoughts because it is trying to control what it cannot. But here is a truth that may set you free. You do not own anyone. No one belongs to you. They are their own being, just as you are your own being. The more you try to hold on to them in your mind, the more suffering you create for yourself. Think of a river flowing. If you try to hold on to the water, it slips through your fingers. But if you simply let it flow, you can enjoy its beauty. Relationships are the same. Let people be who they are. Let situations unfold as they will. When you stop trying to control, you find peace. But some might ask, if I stop thinking about them so much, will I become indifferent? No. Indifference is when you do not care. Detachment is when you care, but you are not ruled by it. A monk does not hate the world. He simply does not cling to it. A bird does not hate the sky. It simply knows it cannot hold onto the wind. The middle path means to care with awareness. It means to be fully present with people, to love them, to cherish them, but to also understand that nothing is permanent. And that is okay. When you accept impermanence, you stop fearing change. When you stop fearing change, you stop overthinking. Ask yourself, has overthinking about someone ever changed a situation? Has it ever brought you peace? Or has it only drained you, distracted you, and made you more anxious? The truth is, the more you dwell, the less you live. The more you try to figure someone out, the less you understand yourself. You are not here to spend your life trapped in endless thoughts about another person. You are here to experience life, to grow, to find your own path. And when you do, you will realize that the people who are meant to stay will stay, and those who are meant to leave will leave. And both are okay. You must trust life. Trust that what is meant for you will not miss you. Trust that the right people will come into your life at the right time. And most importantly, trust yourself. You are enough, even without them. You are whole, even if they walk away. So, the next time your mind begins to overthink about someone, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? If not, let it go. Not with force, not with resistance, but with ease, like a leaf floating down a stream. This is the middle path, the path of balance, the path of peace, the path where you can love fully, yet live freely. Real-life stories, Buddhist wisdom in action. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man named Kaido who lived in a small village. He was kind, hardworking, and always tried to please everyone around him. But he had one problem. He thought too much about what others said and did. If someone ignored him, he wondered if he had upset them. If someone praised him, he worried if they truly meant it. His mind was never at peace. One day, an old Zen master visited the village. People gathered around to listen to his wisdom. Kaido, desperate for relief from his endless thoughts, approached the master and asked, "Why do I suffer so much from thinking about others? Why can't I stop?" The Zen master smiled and said, "Come with me." They walked to a nearby river. The master picked up a large rock and handed it to Kaido. "Hold this," he said. Kaido held the rock in his hands. "Now, carry it with you everywhere you go," the master instructed. Kaido was confused but obeyed. As they walked, the rock felt heavier and heavier. After some time, his arms began to ache. "Master, this is painful," Kaido said. The Zen master nodded. "Then why don't you let go?" Kaido stood there, stunned. The master continued, "Your thoughts about others are like this rock. You carry them everywhere. You hold on to them, even when they hurt you. But in truth, they are not attached to you. You are attached to them. The moment you decide to let go, you will feel light and free." Kaido dropped the rock. For the first time in years, he understood. Many of us carry thoughts about others like heavy stones. We hold on to words, actions, and opinions as if they define us. We replay conversations in our heads, wondering what someone meant or if they truly cared. But all of this thinking does nothing except weigh us down. There is another story, an ancient Zen tale, about two monks traveling together. They came across a river where a woman stood, unable to cross. The older monk picked her up, carried her across, and set her down on the other side. Then, he continued walking in silence. The younger monk was disturbed. After walking for hours, he finally spoke. "Why did you carry that woman? We monks are not supposed to touch women." The older monk turned to him and said, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is exactly what we do in our minds. Something happens, and instead of letting it go, we carry it for days, months, even years. A harsh word, a moment of rejection, an unanswered message. We keep it alive in our thoughts long after it has passed. Buddhism teaches us that life is like a river. Everything flows. But when we hold on to things, we create suffering. People will come and go. Some will treat us with kindness, others with indifference. But their actions belong to them, not to us. There was once a woman named Aiko who loved someone deeply, but the person she loved did not feel the same way. Still, she couldn't stop thinking about him. She checked his social media, wondered what he was doing, and replayed old memories. Even when she tried to move on, thoughts of him pulled her back. She went to a Buddhist temple seeking advice. The monk there listened and then handed her a cup. "Hold this," he said. She held it. Then, suddenly, he poured hot tea into the cup until it overflowed, burning her hands. She dropped the cup instantly. "Why did you let go?" the monk asked. "Because it was burning me," Aiko said. The monk smiled. "Then why do you hold on to thoughts that do the same?" This is the truth we often ignore. We suffer, not because of what others do, but because of what we keep inside our minds. The past is gone. The future is unknown. The only thing real is this moment. If we keep filling our minds with unnecessary thoughts, there will be no space for peace. A wandering monk once said, "A thought is like a bird landing on your shoulder. You can let it stay for a moment, but if you hold on to it, it will dig its claws into your skin." Thinking about others is natural. We all do it. But when these thoughts start controlling us, we must ask ourselves, why? Are they helping us grow, or are they only causing suffering? Imagine this. You are walking through a market, and a stranger shouts something rude at you. Do you stop and carry their words all day? Or do you keep walking? Most of us do the first. We take someone's temporary emotions and turn them into our burden. But the truth is, people's actions are a reflection of their inner world, not ours. If someone ignores you, it may have nothing to do with you. If someone leaves you, it is part of their path. Clinging to their choices only creates pain. Buddhism teaches us the beauty of impermanence. Everything changes. People, emotions, situations. Nothing stays the same. When we understand this, we stop grasping so tightly. We learn to enjoy what is here without fearing what will be lost. A master once told his student, "You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sail." This is how we must live. We cannot control how others behave, but we can control how we respond. Let me leave you with this thought. The next time you catch yourself overthinking about someone, ask yourself, is this thought bringing me peace or suffering? If it is suffering, let it go. If it is peace, let it stay. And remember, the mind is like the sky. Thoughts are just passing clouds. They come and go. But beneath them, the sky remains vast, open, and untouched. Be the sky, not the clouds. Embracing freedom from overthinking. Sit with me for a moment. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Feel the weight in your chest. Feel the thoughts in your mind. Notice how they come and go. Some are soft, like whispers. Some are loud, like echoes from the past. And some refuse to leave, no matter how much you try to push them away. You have spent so much of your life thinking about others, what they said, what they meant, what they might be doing right now. You have replayed conversations, guessed intentions, and worried about things that were never in your control. And what has all this thinking given you? Has it brought you peace, or has it only made your heart heavier? The mind is like a restless monkey, always jumping from one thought to another. It clings to memories, fears, and desires. It creates stories, adding meanings to things that were never there. You see a glance, a word, or a silence, and suddenly, your mind builds a story around it. But tell me, how many of these stories have been true? How many of them have only caused you unnecessary suffering? The Buddha once said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." The same is true for overthinking. The more you hold on to thoughts about others, the more they burn you from the inside. But the fire was never outside you. It was always in your own hands. And now, it is time to let it go. Look at the sky. Do you see how the clouds move? They do not try to stay in one place. They do not fight against the wind. They simply float, coming and going as they please. This is how your thoughts should be. Let them pass. Let them drift. Do not chase them, and do not hold them. You have spent enough time trapped in your own mind. Enough time worrying about people who may not even think about you. Enough time giving away your energy to things that do not serve you. It is time to take back your peace. It is time to let go. The greatest freedom is not found in changing the world around you. It is found in changing how you see it. You cannot control what people do. You cannot control how they feel. But you can control how much space they take in your mind. And when you stop allowing them to live in your thoughts, you will feel something you may not have felt in a long time: lightness. Imagine waking up tomorrow with no heavy thoughts about anyone. Imagine not caring about who replied and who didn't, who stayed and who left, who appreciated you and who ignored you. Imagine feeling free. This is not just a dream. This is possible. This is the path of wisdom. You do not need closure from people. You do not need apologies. You do not need to be understood by everyone. The only thing you need is to understand yourself. Why do you hold on to thoughts that hurt you? Why do you think so much about people who do not think about you? Ask yourself these questions, and you will see the problem was never them. It was always inside you. So what can you do? The answer is simple. Whenever a thought about someone begins to take over your mind, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, does this thought help me or does it harm me? If it harms you, let it go. If it drains your peace, let it go. If it makes you suffer, let it go. Some will say, but it is not easy. And they are right. Letting go is not easy. But suffering is not easy either. You have already carried this weight for so long. You have already suffered. Now, you must choose. Will you continue, or will you finally set yourself free? You are not here to live in the past. You are not here to suffer over people. You are here to experience life, to laugh, to love, to be at peace. Do not let your mind steal this from you. When you stop thinking too much about others, you return to yourself. You realize that your time, your energy, your peace are too precious to be wasted on things beyond your control. You begin to live, not for others, but for yourself. And when you do this, something beautiful happens. You become lighter. You become calmer. You smile more. You sleep better. Your heart feels open, and your mind feels clear. This is not magic. This is wisdom, the wisdom of letting go. So, I ask you now, what will you choose? Will you continue to carry the thoughts that make you suffer, or will you finally lay them down? Will you keep chasing people in your mind, or will you let them go and walk your own path? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Feel the weight leaving you. Feel the peace settling in. This is the beginning of something new. A new way of thinking. A new way of living. A new way of being free. You have reached the end of this journey, but the real journey begins now. The journey of practicing this wisdom every single day. And as you go forward, remember this. Peace is not something you find outside. It is something you create within. Thank you for walking this path with us. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. If you found this wisdom valuable, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And tell us in the comments, what is the one thought you are ready to let go of today? We would love to hear from you. Now go live. Be free. The past is behind you, and the future is waiting.